Welcome to our Matchday 10 review. I am your host, Aaron, joined here by Morty and Campo. We have no Tony with us today, unfortunately.
Thank God.
Especially after this, massive result for United, Spurs, Campo. But we'll obviously get into that a bit later. We're going to start off with one of the other hated teams here. Arsenal's 2-0 win over Leicester City, away from home. Well, I had this one down as a Leicester win. I thought Arsenal's little run of form there would be halted at this game, but no, it wasn't to be. Arsenal continue their surge. They're now unbeaten in, 9 games since that big loss at City. Morty, what were your thoughts on this one? Were you surprised by the result? I can't remember what you tipped, to be honest.
I can't remember what I tipped either, to be honest. But yeah, no. Either way, I was genuinely surprised by Arsenal. They started out on the front foot. They putting all things right. Ramsdale had an absolute blinder of a game, and I'll eat my words in the fact that they didn't need him. But obviously, it's shown that they went out and got a great keeper. And yeah, I can't fault Arsenal at the moment. They're doing with the best with what they've got, and Leicester's probably the biggest team they've come up against. Spurs don't really count, and yeah. Well, where do you fault them at the moment? They're playing what's in front of them. They're doing well. And
so you think that's the biggest team they come up against that they've actually won?
Yeah,
because obviously they've played.
Well, they've lost to City, but that was we're talking post that run.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like you said, Ramsdale, you can't fault him. We all wrote him off. We've been saying it most weeks now. We all wrote him off. We wrote off their transfer business, and it's coming back to bite us. Did they need, Ramsdale when they had Emi Martinez before? No, probably not. But I suppose you look at it now and, you say it's, what was it, a $6 million difference or something? They sold Emi and got Ramsdale, so it's not too bad business there. It's worked out in their favour. Like I said, they're looking good. You can't fault them. What are your thoughts, Campo?
They always start games well, it seems. But the one thing you can fault them off is that they do switch off. And, they got peppered after half-time. They got peppered. If it wasn't for Ramsdale's, miraculous saves, they lose that 4-2, 5-2. He was incredible. He won them that game like Mendy's won Chelsea. And that's what you need sometimes, But, again, you come up against the City and you switch off like that, you will be punished.
Yeah, spot on.
To be fair, they switch back on. They're only lost it just after the half for about 20 minutes or so, and then they kind of realised that they need to get their shit back together, and they did. So fair play to them.
I mean, you're right there, Campo. Ramsdale did probably single-handedly win these points. That's why Tony went with him for his player of the week. However, I think on Leicester's side of things, they were pretty poor. They couldn't finish their chances. They had a number of them in the second half. And like you said, again, if another day, this could have been a 4-2 Leicester. And it probably should have been, because I think Leicester just didn't take their chances. And they only had themselves to blame. So, yes, it's a good Arsenal win, but Leicester's going to be kicking themselves. And it looks like Morty might be spot on with this Brendan Rodgers prediction a couple of years late, it seems. But it could happen. I don't know what's going on at Leicester, but they're not sitting as great as they probably like to be. They're sitting in 11th now. And their form's very, very inconsistent at the time being. So maybe in a few weeks' time we'll be sitting here saying, I don't know if Brendan Rodgers will get the sack, but he could be at the United gig. That might be one of those ones where he's swung to go there, and then Leicester, I don't know what's to go for them. But it's a good win for Arsenal, though. I think we've got to give them credit. They're on a good run here. They're into 6th spot now. So yeah, good for them. Anyway, we move on to Watford versus Southampton. Campo, can we get some love on the Southampton now that they finally got another win?
I will give them some credit this week. They turned up against Watford and they deserve 3 points. So full credit to the boys this week.
Well, it's a Watford team that obviously Ranieri's just taken over. I put this down as a high score in 2-2. I thought Watford would show a bit more, but Southampton were the goods this game. They went ahead pretty early. Che Adams with a very, very good finish, beating Ben Foster. And then since then, they just couldn't hit the target. Givo was obviously blowing up in the chat a few times. How bad Che and Armstrong are up top. So this probably could have been a few more goals for Southampton. I didn't see too many of Watford's chances. I don't know how many clear-cut ones they had, but it's a much-needed win for Southampton here. Would you agree with that, Morty?
Yeah. Still annoys me because Southampton literally put one shot on target of all their chances, and that one went in. So Watford, they did blow a few. I wouldn't say they had clear-cut chances, but last week we obviously saw that the 5-2 was it, and they weren't the same team this week. I think they're all burnt out from that. That's what we're probably going to get from Watford all year. So
you think a bit of inconsistency from Watford for the rest of the season?
Just showing a few kinks when they're trying out their new formations on Ranieri, just trying to get that gamesmanship together, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think the important thing is here for Southampton, this is now 3 games unbeaten, 2 wins and a draw. So they need to kick on now. They need to
build on it.
Exactly, and they need to start progressing up the ladder because they're not threatened by relegation right now, and I don't think they will be. But if they go back into a couple losses in a row or whatnot, they're going to be hanging around there. That's not where they want to be. So, yeah, good win for them. And like you said, you finally give them credit, which is we've been waiting for all season. But we're going to get into Morty's team here now. So it was Liverpool 2, Brighton 2. Massive. I don't know, is it a shock here? Brighton have looked good this season, but I personally had Liverpool running away with this one. Morty, what were your thoughts on the game?
It was painful. I genuinely think we kind of we took it out. We came out of home. We're up 2-0 and we fell asleep. Literally, they went to bed. It annoys me because Henderson scored this game, but he was dreadful, and Jones was dreadful too. Like the way the performance he put in at United, and then to come up against Brighton and just do that. Keita's off injured again. Like it just shows we missed the consistency of Fabinho in the middle, and Henderson, great leader and all, but he pisses me off with these games because even towards we're going in, it's like 80th minute, the bloke's passing backwards. Like, come on. He's put one good ball through for the Salah goal the other week. All right, and everyone's forgetting about him, but then he goes and does this. You see this game happen, and this is exactly why we get frustrated with him because it's just sort of thing.
Well,
the first goal went in. That was the freak accident. I'll cop that on the chin, but then the second goal, they could have been up 3-2. Like they could have won this quite easily, that second half.
As I said, like you said, you went up 2-0 and it was looking good. You're looking cruisy. I thought that was the point. You run away with the game. I'm thinking, obviously this game is being played at the same time as the Chelsea game. I'm thinking, here we go. Where at this point we're going into the break 0-0 in the Chelsea game, and I'm thinking this could be a tough result for us if Liverpool go and win this and we slip up. And then I'll check back the scores and it's 2-2 before you know it. Obviously 2-1 at the break. That it's a crazy goal. It's not one you always concede, but yeah, Brighton just came out second half, I think, and they clicked. They wanted to win the game. They probably should have gone 3-2 up, and like you said, they probably could have won the game. Do you think that the draw is a fair result given the whole game, or would you have been surprised?
The game overall, it's a fair result, 2-2. I just think that had we been down 2-0 at first, I think we probably would have kicked into gear a lot quicker and we probably would have won. But the fact we went up so quickly just went back to sleep again. Like you saw again in the United game, we're up and then we turned into a training match. We didn't even do that this game. We kind of just kept trying stupid little things, and I mean there was about 5 goals ruled out for offsides and slight this or slight that each way. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about anything because they had just as many as we did. It's just one of those games. It's just very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Your thoughts on the game? Do you think this is a big slip up in Liverpool's title race? It's a couple of points dropped here, or do you give Brighton some credit here, given the way their season's gone?
You can't call it a slip up when everyone around them, except Chelsea, had a slip up as well. The City result as well. But I'll tell you what, Trossard can produce magic. If he was more consistent, he'd be, up there with some of the best players in the Premier League. And that Cucurella is looking like a really good signing for them. Pocketed the best player in the world at the moment.
I mean, he still did get an assist, Salah, so you can't take away too much from it. But he didn't score this game, so
keeps Jamie Vardy's record intact. But it's a fair result. You have to give credit to Brighton. They didn't collapse. They go down 2-0 early. They could have given up just then. But Graham Potter has them fighting for that club, and big props to Brighton.
Yeah, well, we're going to move into the team that probably benefited from this game the most. It was Chelsea, 3-0 over Newcastle. It was a frustrating game to start with because from minute one they sat their whole team behind the ball, and I thought, here we go, it's going to be difficult. It's going to finish 0-0. We're going to pepper them, and we're just going to not be able to break them down. It's hard to break teams down like that. But second half we came out all guns blazing, and we got that breakthrough. 65th minute, Reece James. Wonder strike. He only scores great goals. And then that's where the game turns. Newcastle no longer can sit back and hope for, they're not sitting back for a draw at this point. They need to go and produce something. That's where the game opens up, and Reece James doubles it. We get a penalty not long after, and it's 3-0 before you know it. So it was comfortable. They didn't trouble us. They had one shot on target. Deserved win. I had us down for a 2-0 win. We went on 3-0. It's not surprising, I think, just given the way Newcastle are. Campo, what were your thoughts on this and Newcastle as a whole right now, given the new ownership?
I think they should change the stadium to St. Reece James Park because the man had a blinder that game. That's why I think he is the best right back in England, in my opinion. He's going
controversial. I'll back you with it, but it's controversial.
That's my opinion. You can slaughter me all you want, but I think he offers more than what Trent and the other lot can.
I think just on that, the way that Trent gets forward, and you've seen the numbers he produced assist-wise, I think Reece James has probably taken that into account this season. And you've seen his 7 games played or something this season, he's got 4 goals and a few assists. So I think he's really starting to add that part of it to his game, and it's helping because I think for him to be put in that same category, yes, his defending is fantastic, but he does need to offer a bit going forward. And he always has, but I think now he's really adamant on getting some stats on the board as well, which I think is just helping his case.
But Chelsea, dominant. They were always going to be. Newcastle, they're going to be in that dogfight. It's evident. I would just love for them to go down. I'm turning all my hatred to other clubs to Newcastle because I want to see the world's richest club in the championship. So that's where I'm turning my focus to.
I mean, it would be funny. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't. I think at this point, we can all admit that I think Newcastle is just waiting for January to happen. They need that budget to come in and start spending because there's a number of players who are just not fit to play and not up to scratch. What do you think on that, Morty?
Just on that, Newcastle going down would be terrible for the Prem because financial fair play would be void because although they've already got the money, they'd be allowed to spend the money they receive, and good riddance to anyone because they will have all that money to throw at anyone. Would
be saying Mbappe and Haaland in the championship scoring 50 goals
each? They could because they could literally go out and sign Mbappe and then sign the rest of the squad with the other money under the financial fair play because they'll have had the 100 or 280 whatever million it is for the TV rights, which would go straight to Mbappe's pocket. So you do not want that happening because goodbye to the Prem.
No, but at the end of the day, they never want to go down. There's no benefit in going in because they could get put in a dogfight and come back up. I was saying it's not going to happen, but that would be the worst option in 2 years. Just on your little Reece James thing, the bloke plays right mid. All right, let's get that straight. He doesn't.
No, but look, you see his 2 goals, right? If Trent was that far up constantly, because James literally sat there. Like if Trent sat there waiting for that opportunity, goes the other way, it doesn't affect Reece James for his defending because they've still got the 3 centre backs back. I'm being honest. Trent sat up there and waiting for that goal because Trent was, a freak save off last week of having an absolute screamer. He can do it. I'm not saying, and I'm not going to. I'm sick of having this argument because
well, it's always going to be there. The fact that they're both
always going to be.
English.
They're both English, and they play what they need to for the team. I'm not going to slate them. I'm not going to say he's a terrible right back. I'm just saying that I'm sick of the comparisons. You keep going. You all hate on Trent because the Trent does what he does for the team. It's like
I respect Trent. I think he plays his role very well. In a back five, he'd play it probably even better. Like you said, Reece James does benefit the fact that he can go forward, whereas Trent, when he goes forward, he does have to get back, and that's where he lacks. It's obvious that he doesn't defend as well as he should. But as I said, I gave credit to Trent. I said that he racks up a lot of assists, and it's impressive. And if he could add goals to that, God, it'd be amazing. But yeah, that's just a case of different formations working. But it's always going to be one of those battles. I think they're both, as I said, they're both English. They're both young. It'd be great to see them be able to play together for England somehow. If Trent can move into midfield somehow, I think he's good enough to. So, but at the end of the day,
the other argument is you've got Trent of the argument that you could play in the midfield, whereas James, I think.
Well, James can even play defensive mid. He played there for Wigan a few years ago. But look, it's just always going to be there. That topic's always going to be there. I think at the end of the day, as I said, Chelsea benefited this game as well from Liverpool slipping up.
Lukaku.
Well, it's a fair claim. It's proven that without Lukaku, we've been scoring goals for fun. And I think it shows we've got another dimension we can play. But I do think once Lukaku comes back in, we'll still be scoring goals. And I think he'll add to those as well. So, but we'll see in a few weeks' time. Moving in, another team that slipped up. City lost to Palace. Pretty crazy game, really. Palace went up early. City red card. Palace another goal, 2-0.
Could have made so much money last week. I could have made so much money.
Yeah, you predicted this one. You did say Palace would shock us. Did you say draw or win? I think you said Palace win.
I said win, but I thought the other game City would trounce West Ham in the thing. They'd probably throw it out. They like that cup, and I thought they were going to suffer this game, and turns out they suffered both. So.
Yeah, well, look, this is their loss. Liverpool's probably gained here because they slipped up a little bit as well. We benefited the most out of this whole outcome, but yeah, what's to make of City? Is this just a blip in the road, do you think, Campo, or is it?
Well,
is it Palace? Just their bogey team? You've seen it happen before.
Yeah, it would be their bogey team, but that red card, was it a red card? Because the exact same incident happened in the Leicester and Arsenal game, and it was given a yellow.
Which I think is probably a worse challenge as well. Like, I don't know.
Because you saw Walker and Cancelo, or whoever the left back was, they were creating that overlap. So again, it's a referee's discretion. I think it has to be more black and white.
And that's the issue. That's the issue here is that we've got before VAR, you look at them, you're like, yeah, that's referee's discretion. But now that you've got VAR, it should be black and white. It should be that's a red card in both games, or it's a yellow in both games. Why is there inconsistency when we've got technology that should be erasing that?
I can't answer that question because I'm not in the VAR. But again, I think there just has to be one VAR for, as bad as it sounds, all games, or like. So
but then the issue is they then go and say to the referee, all right, you make the decision here. Like, go look at the screen and you make your decision. And then again, it's referee's discretion. So I suppose
multiple games at the same time as well. You can't.
Yeah. It's probably not there for these red cards. I'd say it's more there for the offside calls. But yeah. What were your thoughts on the game though, Campo?
Crystal Palace played without fear under Patrick Vieira, or Vieira ball, we like to call it. And, they could have had more goals in them. But, Conor Gallagher, man, he's turning out to be quite a player. His energy he brings to that team is incredible. And I think he will be pushing for a Chelsea midfield next year.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there. I think I'm excited to see him come back. I don't see us getting rid of him. I think everybody's given him the Lampard comparisons. The fact that he's adding goals and whatnot to his Arsenal just shows how important he'll be. So yeah, I think it's great that he's getting this season in the Premier League after his couple of years in the Championship, and yeah, pushing for first team. You're seeing Ruben Loftus-Cheek's been great this year, so Gallagher can come in and do the exact same thing, I think. But yeah, City at home, they shouldn't be losing this game, but it happens. But now they find themselves 5 points behind Chelsea for top spot. Still early days. They've knocked off Chelsea. Only 2 points behind Liverpool, so it's not the end of the world. But could come back to haunt them possibly, or it's just Palace being their bogey team. I don't know.
Yeah, but you look at it now as well. You've got Arsenal a win away from being equal with City.
Yep.
Like City, for all, and we said it last year as well. We were worried about their slow start, and they come back strong. But it doesn't look like that year again. Like Chelsea are going to keep putting these results up, and Liverpool, we've slipped up a little, but we still haven't lost. Like you've got City, and yeah,
I think the thing with City is they might slip up these games, but they win the big 6 games. City's just that team that seems to always win, not always, but mostly win these big 6 games. Whereas Chelsea this season, yes, like we lost to City, we drew with you guys, but we're winning every other game. So it just shows that you do need to beat the other teams, because those are the ones that those are the points that you have to usually make up. But City, when they win these big games, that's when they claw back the 6-point swings. So it's going to be a very long season. So.
You just know that City's going to go on another 20 game unbeaten, and it's
Yeah, but
it's going to happen.
Because that other than even if that red card didn't send them off, I think Palace is still winning this game, because from the way Palace were playing, City were on struggle street sometimes. Like Diaz was a bit wrong-footed here and there. Like he saved them a few times as well. Cancelo was missing. Walker was just walking about. Like I think that they lost it in the midfield, and Foden was getting nothing up top. Jesus was just back to being Jesus, and yeah, you saw them like every challenge went in. Like City were up there sulking and screaming. You saw the whatever fight, push, whatever happened at half time. You could see the frustration in these players, because I don't know, Palace got under their skin.
Well, we always say it's scary for the next team that has to play City after a loss, and it's United with an Ole who's still not secure at the job. So that'll be an interesting way to preview that one in a few days' time, and also cover that one later on. But we're going to get into Burnley's win over Brentford here. I had this down as a Brentford win. Comfortable win, to be honest with you. One nice little 1-0 for them. But no, Burnley showed up, and they put them to bed. What did they go 3-0 up at one point? So comfortable win. Cornet still scoring goals for fun. Can't fold him here. What were your thoughts on this one, Morty?
Well, Burnley signed a non-Burnley player, and look what it does to their squad. Cornet, he's fighting for one of the most impressive players so far this season. He's done wonders for him, and Burnley look like they have a different dimension to play, and they look like they're playing with it. They're not playing against it, because we all seen how Burnley treat it sometimes, and they could have just forced him to be that defensive left back, allowed pass halfway, and we just hoof it up. But Cornet, I don't know if he's ignoring instructions and going on a walk, but it's impressive. It's finally, I don't hate watching Burnley so much anymore. I still hate them, but they at least play some better football. So yeah, good on them.
It's a much needed win, where a few teams around them did pick up points, and they could have been in risk here of falling a little bit out of the pack and being in that relegation spot. They're still sitting in 18th, but yeah, it's a much needed win for them. What do you think, Campo?
I was going to say the exact same thing. They signed a non-Burnley player. They signed a player with a lot of flair and a lot of attacking presence. But yeah, Chris Wood wasn't always not going to score. He's a talented striker. Get him the ball, he will deliver for you. And especially with how far up Cornet gets, he's always going to start supplying balls for him. But it is good to see Sean Dyche trying to evolve as the Premier League does. Changing your formation or trying a new style of play, pressing. It is becoming more enjoyable to watch Burnley, but you still wouldn't watch them.
All right. I want to ask you, Brentford now. This is their third loss in a row. What's it mean for them? Do you think they were riding on a high at the start of the season? Now they're coming back to reality. Is it just a slip in form for them? What is it? What do you reckon, Campo?
I think players or clubs have now adapted to the way Brentford play. You know, they've had 10 games to watch them. You're gonna learn what they do. It's good that they got these points early, but who knows now? They might have been figured out. Wait and see, I guess.
I think the passion they play with, I think, will still just be enough to get them over the line. I think they are a hard team to break down at times. And yes, this was a 3-1, but Brentford will always have their chances. They play without fear at times. And like you said, these important points that you picked up at the beginning of the season, that can go a long way when you've got a team like, Norwich, the 2 points, they're already down. Newcastle only on 4. Yes, they will have a massive second half of the season, you'd think. But, they're already 5 points off the drop. So I think it's important, these early points. But I think they'll be fine. Do you agree with that more? Do you think they'll be fine?
I don't think they've been found out. I think it's more just teams are knowing that when they come up against Brentford, they're here for a game. They're not here. There's not so much. They're a bit more wary coming up against Brentford, sort of thing. I think teams like Liverpool, they weren't not respecting them, but they were kind of just going out for 75%, 80% run, whereas they know they need to play at 100% for this game. So.
All right. Well, we're going to move into the following game, and unfortunately, Tony, as I said, is not here for this one. But Campo, we've got you here for it. So it's Spurs 0, United 3. And look, you're smiling because you lost 3-0, but somehow you've gone and got a great manager out of it. What are your thoughts? Go. Nuno sacked.
We've lost, but we've won. So, because I woke up at 3:30 for this game, our time. I watched that first half. And seeing Ben Davies give away that first goal, can't take away the finish. There was a brilliant finish from Ronaldo, but Ben Davies is clueless. And I turned it off. I said, this is stupid. I'm not watching this. Going to bed. Woke up to 3-0 from the second goal mistake again from us. Skip loses it in the midfield. They quick counter attack. 2-0 Cavani, and then again third to really rub it in Nuno's face. Fourth time he's lost 3-0, and that's the end of Nuno and hello Conte.
Well, we've got a video on the way for the Conte news, so we'll keep that part of it a bit shorter. But the game as a whole, look, you lost 3-0. You didn't register a single shot on target for what was it that you said, 7 years or something that you've done this. So but it's just hard to talk about this one because you lost the game, but you're just kind of happy, you're kind of in a good hit situation here. Ole, for example, 3-0 win, it gives his job another week. What do you think about that whole situation? They've now missed out on Conte. Is it it's a good result for United, obviously, but long term, how do you look at this one?
Just thank Tottenham for giving us this joy over another probably 5 years for seeing Ole at the wheel. It's done wonders for us. But I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. United still didn't look great. I think it was more Tottenham. If Tottenham didn't gift them those goals, I don't think they were creating their own, really. I mean, Ronaldo, as we say, you give him a chance, he'll take it. And Tottenham gave him the chances and he took it. So, but other than that, it's just a bloke that can't defend up against a bloke that can't score. And that was the story of the Kane versus Maguire. And
we had Ronaldo and Cavani starting for the first time together. And look, they both got a goal. Ronaldo got an assist as well for Cavani. So maybe it's a sign of they can play together. You don't need to be playing Ronaldo at number 9 by himself. It might work. And I think, these results are just saving Ole an extra week. I think it's giving him an extra week on his job. And look, as I say, I wish we had Tony's reaction, but we'll make sure to get it before they go and play City this weekend in our preview. But Campo, you're obviously a happy-ish man because you now got to look forward to something bigger and better than Nuno.
I don't even care about the result anymore.
It's still shocking. Like Tottenham, you're falling away. You still got to play the big boys. Still, like,
what do you mean? We versed Arsenal, Chelsea, City, and now United. That's 4 of the big 6.
And you're not too worse off for it. Whereas, look, United, this was a much needed result for them. Taking away from anything manager wise, they needed this result to stay in the mix. The 3 points off top 4 now, and with the likes of your Arsenals creeping forward, they had to win this game. They had to. So we're going to wait for Tony's opinion on that game in a few days' time. It'll be funny regardless the way he looks.
I hope he's angry.
He'll be fuming about the result and probably the fact that you've gone and snaked Conte from him. We're going to get into a team that also needed a result so badly. It was Leeds 2-1 over Norwich. Wasn't the prettiest game for Leeds. I thought this would be comfortable for them, but it just shows that they're not on it this season. They're versing the worst team in the league, probably one of the worst teams in Premier League history. A team that hasn't got a win yet, and they still weren't easy beats. What are your thoughts on this one, Campo?
I just couldn't believe all 3 goals came in 6 minutes. They weren't, the best goals. I think Tim Krul's at massive fault for Norwich's second. I thought that was shocking goalkeeping. Yeah, Rodrigo's outside the box on the floor. It was any other Premier League keeper saves that. But Leeds desperate for this result, and they got it in the end. Both teams probably deserved a draw, in my opinion. The stats were very close. No one was creating clear-cut chances. It just looks like these Leeds players have been found out, in my opinion. Like your Jack Harrison, who was electric last year, he's done nothing this year. Bamford, one of the best strikers in England last year, nothing.
He's injured, to be fair.
But
he hasn't
before
played
that,
about 6 weeks.
He's 6 weeks. He played not that long ago.
It's been a few games. I'm not sure exactly how many,
but
I think
it's been a while. I had to drop him for a draft.
But I think it does show that he was in form last year, scoring a lot of goals, and they were winning games. And then this year they're without him. And I think Rafinha, if he doesn't get on the score sheet for him, they don't produce anything. So, and
if he's not on the field, they don't win.
Exactly. He scored this game. And the only way they're going to win games it looks like, is through him. And even Rodrigo's scoring these days. So, yeah, it wasn't an easy game for him. And I think regardless, if they play anybody else in the Premier League, this isn't their win. So we're going to get into another team that's not doing so great. Aston Villa lost 4-1 to West Ham at home. Campo, you don't like West Ham, so what are your thoughts on this game?
I don't, but Declan Rice, he's dribbling this is a complete centre defensive midfielder.
Is he the best midfielder in the Premier this season?
The best English defensive mid, yes.
I'd argue even probably on form at the moment he is.
Yeah, I would agree. He's adding goals to his what he's capable of, and assists. So he's playing phenomenal. West Ham are still flying, regardless of they had a little dip in form. But I want to talk about Villa. What's going on at Villa this season? Red card this game. They were 1-1 at one point. What's going on? It's not a great season for them. They're sitting in 15th, 4 losses in a row.
Is Leon Bailey injured, or did he not play this game?
No, he played.
Oh, okay. I didn't really check the lineups, but I don't know. I said that this might be a Fulham. They've brought in too many players. They've all got to learn how to, mix in together. I thought they would struggle. They won't get relegated, but I knew it was going to be a tough year for them. But their defense, they have to do something with that.
Yeah,
they're not good. They make too many mistakes week in, week out.
Do you think the manager can be at blame now? Is Dean Smith out of his depth at this point, or is it like defenders are not playing up to scratch?
I think he should be starting a back 3. Just giving that defense. That. Then just pray that you're not in relegation when it gets to January and start signing centre backs.
I mean, we all kind of laughed at you when you said that Villa would go and get relegated, but they're not far off it. And like you said, then you don't think they will get relegated, but look, it's looking like a pretty decent prediction at this point because they're only 3 points off the drop. What were your thoughts on the game, Morty? We're giving just massive credit to West Ham because they put away a decent team. Well, they should be.
I don't think the scoreline actually reflects the game because it was, as you said, it was 1-1. But Villa still looked asleep at that point. It took literally the sending off of their own player for them to rock up because for the next 40 minutes after that, they took it to them and they were creating chances. West Ham looked a bit clunky. They were, going through the motions and it looked like Villa could possibly steal something. But then West Ham turned around and just, clinically put away the next 3 chances they got, and it just took it out of their touch. But yeah, there's problems at Villa, and we say there's too many players coming into that squad, but that's the same team they had last year, other than Bailey and Buendia starting. So,
and Danny Ings as well, who's not been amazing.
No, but on like this lineup is only 2 players. There's only 2 players. Like this is what they had last year, and they were doing a whole lot better. So
yeah, well, I think, like I said, it's not a reflection of the game, but we need to give massive credit to West Ham for this season. Bar those couple of results off the back of Europe, they're sitting top of their group in Europe. They're in 4th spot, level points with City. They're flying.
I'll ask you this: if Moyes never managed United, he's exactly what United need right now.
I mean, do you look at that and think that why don't United go and try to get him again? Like, is it because it didn't work one time? Why couldn't it work again? It's different players now. He's grown as a manager, or is it just
I think he's happier at West Ham? Like he doesn't have to worry about the big names. He's getting the best out of these players. It's a different expectation when you go to United because you've got the players that should be doing better. Whereas West Ham, don't get me wrong, they're not worse players, but they themselves are performing to the best of their ability because they're not relying on their name. Like even Declan Rice, he could go to another club for 100 million the next summer, but he still is that humble, English lad that he just wants to play ball for him. He's happy there.
Well, you look at West Ham, you'd probably say it's probably pretty poor to say, but you don't expect to win a title at West Ham. But you go to United, if you don't win a title, and they haven't won for a few years now, but if you don't win a title, you're getting pressure on you. That's for sure. So yeah, like you said, West Ham, they're thriving at the moment. David Moyes is thriving there, and it's funny because we've given him hate in the past, but they're looking like a great team. And could they push for top 4 this season if they keep this up? Yes, they can.
Well, the problem is like when COVID hit, 2 years ago, we laughed when he was out and he wasn't coaching the squad.
No winning games.
But ever since then, they've been on form, and I think it just goes to show that clubs need to start sticking with managers and give them the time to build through. Like it's coming out of Arsenal, it's coming out of West Ham. They need to start doing they can't keep chopping and changing and blaming the managers for this stuff. Like it is rough. And don't get me wrong, it has worked at Chelsea, but you look at it over the past 20 years, Chelsea's the outlier of sacking coaches. Everyone else that keeps sacking these coaches, they don't do any better. And I think it needs to start getting noted. Yeah,
I mean, you look at a team like Watford, and they've had a number of managers in a shortish amount of time. They go through 2 managers in a season sometimes. And obviously that might have been a little dig there at Kempo and Spurs because they just sacked their manager.
That wasn't even that one. Like you look at United, they've gone through how many managers in the past 10 years? Like even Arsenal to the degree. Like I think Wenger still has the most points in the season in his final year compared to the rest of them that have come afterwards. Like I just genuinely think that clubs need to start looking and giving some more hope to the managers and start giving them because that could
be what Arsenal's doing because Arteta probably could have been the first manager out this season. And then you give him a few more weeks, five more weeks or something, and he's sitting 3 points off top 4 and probably one of the most informed teams in the league. So yeah, stick with your managers at some points. But look, I'm not against the way Spurs did it because they've gone and recruited one of the best managers in the world. But
Yeah.
each their own. Each club has different policies. Some owners won't accept failure, and others will accept
Love it.
mediocrity a little bit. So we're going to get into the final game of the round. It was Wolves 2-1 over Everton. And I've just looked at the ladder, and Wolves are up into 7th spot. The won 4 out of the last 5. This is a
Right.
Wolves team who I thought were pretty poor to start the season. And now they're doing the same as Arsenal. They're just on a great run of form. And all of a sudden, do you give them the props? Do you say they could go and get European football here? Campo, what do you reckon?
I never thought they were a bad team because I watched. They dominated Spurs. They dominated United. We were lucky to get 3 points there. So you could see they were building into this new team under this manager, and it's clicking now. They're finding their goals there. Jimenez is back and scoring. All these things are coming into place right now, and I'm not shocked by it. And fair play to them because at the moment they deserve every point they get right now.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on the game, Morty?
And much the same. I think Everton went through a purple patch of form, as Campo would love to say. They kind of got the results that no one was expecting, and now they're back to shithousery.
They're not doing bad though. Mid-table,
Well, I think the only reason they're still there is because of Benitez, not because of their
three losses in the trot. They're not looking great. They are slipping down the ladder because at one point they were top 4.
And I still think they have further to fall with DCL still not back. Richarlison only can do so much for a team, and they don't even look like the defensive unit they used to, sort of thing. Like I would still like last year, for instance, I was as much as it was, I was still worried coming up against them for a Merseyside derby because they get up for it, but they look like they couldn't even get up for that these days.
So you think Benitez being there doesn't do too much for him? It's not really.
Oh, I just think he doesn't have the things to work with. Like he's brought in some, but it's questionable. Like Rondon. Yeah.
Well, I think for this game as a whole, I think I need to be more appreciative of Wolves. I think I've written them off way too many times this season, and every week they're proving it. Will I give them credit next week when they play Palace away? Probably not, because it's Palace. I'm on that Palace train, so it's like can't give them credit just yet. But if they go and beat them as well, like Wolves they're killing it. They are killing it. They're back to what was it a couple of years ago when they were joint with that Leicester for that like team pushing into the top 6. And if they continue their ways, Jimenez is back scoring, then could be European football on the horizon for them. But that's all we're going to have time for this review. We're going to get into the preview in a few days' time. That'll be it. We've got a massive week of football coming up. That Manchester derby is going to be a cracker. There's a few good games in there. West Ham, Liverpool as well. So
Conte's first game.
Hey?
Conte's first game. Don't forget about that one.
Oh, yeah. Big game as well.
Will he be in charge by then?
Yeah.
He still hasn't officially been announced.
Oh, it looks like tomorrow he'll be unveiled. Should have a few days beforehand. But we'll get into that in a few days' time. So we'll see you later. Thanks.
Peace.